Hi guys, it's Frankie from Frankie Tech. Good to see you guys again, and I'm here today with my comparison showdown between the Redmi Note 7 and the Oppo K1. I have an extremely busy weekend. As you heard from the previous video, I have a wedding that I'm going to be attending today and tomorrow. It's actually an Indian wedding, so I'm really excited about that. One of my best buddies here in Hong Kong is getting married, and it's going to be an amazing time. And so we have the ceremony today. We got the evening activities tomorrow night. So I'm going to try to get this video out to you guys as soon as possible. But let's have a look through here now. This comparison between the Redmi Note 7, which you saw the color comparison yesterday, and this Oppo K1. Now you may be wondering, what are all these stickers here for? Like, they're kind of cool. They're my Frankie Tech kind of logo here. And the reason being, guys, I've been getting all my videos recently, more than often, actually uploaded by other users. And to all you guys who are doing that out there, please stop. Stop stealing my content. Stop stealing other people's content. It's just not right. It's not fair for the people who actually buy these phones. So just quick rant here to all you guys thinking of stealing this. It's going to be a lot harder now because I have my logo all over the place here. So I would tell you right now, please stop. And if you keep doing it, man, I'm just going to report you straight to YouTube because it's just not fair for everyone else who puts in all the effort to get these phones and review them. Anyway, rant over. Let's get into this quick comparison here. We're going to go down the laundry list here, and then I'll give my final verdict at the end. Which phone do I think is the better option for your money? And talking about price real quick, I got this phone for just over 2,000 Hong Kong dollars. This is the 6GB, 64 gig of storage version right here. And the Oppo K1 is the 4GB, as you can see right there, and 64 gigs of storage. And this one was around 1,700 Hong Kong dollars, which is around 250 US. Let's go right in now, talking about design right here. You saw the color comparison. Let's just kind of turn them over. And I gotta say now, with pretty much certainty, I like the design of the Redmi Note 7 better. It feels more premium. And I think that's the main point here. When you look at the edges, when you look at the backs, they actually look very similar. But it's really when you put them in your hand. When you put this Redmi Note 7 in your hand, you can feel that the front and back are glass, that the edges, even though they're this hardened plastic, just feel really nice in the hand. And the Oppo K1 just feels too light. It's 156 grams, if I'm not mistaken, in terms of weight, and it just doesn't feel right. It just feels too thin. It feels very hollow. And despite the really kind of nice look and the attempt, I think this kind of camera cutout is starting to look a little bit less nice to me. The gold is a little bit weird. I don't mind the way it was set up here, but I think that the Redmi Note 7 actually does it better. The only thing I like better in terms of design on the Oppo K1 is that front panel. So you see here the bottom bezels on the K1 are much smaller. Side bezels are pretty similar, but there you see that top bezel on the K1 is significantly smaller. And even though it does have that teardrop notch, I just like the way the teardrop notch looks on the K1 than on the Redmi Note 7. I don't like that kind of semicircle thing. This has much more of a smooth kind of swoop to it, and the angle here is not as sharp. So overall, in terms of design, that's the only thing that I would give to the Oppo K1 right here. Now, talking about kind of the sides of the phones, let's just quickly kind of tour them around here. Here on the Oppo K1, you have the power buttons, volume rocker on the Redmi Note 7, and as you can see here, they have put the headphone jack on the bottom of the K1, whereas the Redmi Note 7 has it on the top. But what else is missing from the top of this phone? This is a microphone, guys, by the way. This is not an IR blaster. That is something that the Redmi Note 7 does have, and is definitely a positive there. Volume rocker on this side for the Oppo K1, whereas this is just the SIM tray. And I just think generally in terms of the button layouts and everything, the Redmi Note 7 does it better. But there is the major deal breaker. And I know for a lot of you guys, that is enough to just pretty much forget about this Oppo K1, is the fact that there is this USB-C on the Redmi Note 7, and at $150, if you get the kind of entry-level model, is probably the cheapest phone with USB-C that you can buy, and it is a really welcome thing to see on such a budget phone. And so Oppo K1 loses in that regard. And so just in terms of overall design, I give the edge to the Redmi Note 7. Alright, so going right into display now, the major difference between these two, they're not really different in terms of actual display size. So we have a 6.3 inch on the Redmi Note 7 and 6.4 inches on the Oppo K1. And they are very similar sized phones, as you can see there. So that extra inch, the extra 0.1 inch is really kind of made up from the extra display that they've been able to cram in here and the smaller bezels. That is why that is kind of a plus there for the Oppo K1. The other plus for the Oppo K1 is clearly the Super AMOLED capacitive touchscreen that it's got here. 16 million colors, same as this, but with a pixel density very similar, 409 to 402. Both have Gorilla Glass 5 on the front, and both are 19.5 by 9 aspect ratios, but that is where it ends. That AMOLED screen, as you can see here, and let's cycle through those images just quickly here on both of these phones. So cycling through these photos, and it is very clear which display has the punchier colors. I mean, you can see it here with the orange of the stem there. Let's go to my favorite photo that I like to look at comparing these two. And we can go, let's go max brightness on these. Now, the Redmi Note 7 has a pretty pretty good bright screen here. And at around 490 plus nits, you can see that the Redmi Note 7, though, once it's that bright, you can clearly see the AMOLED at work here. The blacks in the border area are just so much darker than on the Redmi Note 7. And the colors they just pop a lot more. Now, it's kind of hard to see from this angle, so let me kind of bring it up here. This is on max brightness for both. Now, it may look to you that the Redmi Note 7 has the nicer image there, but once you put them right next to each other, AMOLED just wins this very easily with those really punchy colors and those deep blacks. That's not to say the Redmi Note 7 is a bad display. It's actually one of the best displays I've tested in terms of being an IPS LCD on any phone in this price point at least. And clearly you can see there that it will hold up against this Oppo K1. And so here's YouTube playback on both phones. So both phones are at max brightness, and now you can kind of have a look and see which phone does that better. The Redmi Note 7 still looks really great. This bottom chin doesn't bother me that much. I don't know why it doesn't. You know, I don't want to be a hypocrite and say that it's the best, because clearly there are more bezel-less phones out there, and being bezel-less is a major thing that I care about. But at this price point, I really just can't complain, and it's really nice. Viewing angles are very good, and it's just an overall good viewing experience. But if that's one place where the Oppo K1 has the edge, I would say it is in video playback here on YouTube. These bezels are just so much smaller, you see there. And I think this is really my favorite implementation of the notch when watching YouTube. And clearly, even with the OnePlus 6T, it has a very similar kind of look to it. And that is probably second to only maybe the Mate 20X in terms of viewing experience. And this phone is the exact same as that. And being AMOLED with punchier colors and just an overall kind of bigger canvas to watch content on, I'm going to have to give YouTube playback to the Oppo K1 right here. And so display quality aside, this is a great IPS LCD display, but you can't deny the Oppo K1 with its AMOLED right here, and it takes this round, the display category, in first place, with the Redmi Note 7 coming in second. And looking at DRM info, I wish I could say there was a victor here, but we got two losers. Wow, wow. Redmi Note 7 and Oppo K1, both with L3 CDM, wideband CDM security levels. That means there will be no HD Netflix to speak of. I really do hope that when that Redmi Note 7 Pro comes out, that Xiaomi is able to get that L1 on that, or on the global versions of this phone, because that would be a really great sight to see. We've seen cheaper phones have L1 security level. I remember the Huawei Y9 also had L1, and that was a really welcome sight there, but no positives here in terms of CDM security level. And talking about performance, specifically CPU in Geekbench 4, and you can see it here, This is the Snapdragon 660 on both of these phones with 6GB versus 4GB. But the major difference and the reason why the Redmi Note 7 takes this round is all because of the type of Snapdragon it is using. So the Snapdragon in the Redmi Note 7 is the overclocked 2.2 gigahertz octa-core processor, whereas on the Oppo K1 they're using the underclocked 2.0 gigahertz version there. And the Mi A2 also has that overclocked version. Now, I don't know why. I think it's probably due to price that Oppo selected that, so they can say they have the 660, but they actually have the underclocked version. But it's a very negligible amount. I don't think it will really affect day-to-day use that much. And so clearly here, though, the 6GB is also making a difference. If you're looking at just kind of day-to-day experience, in the time I've been using this phone, it has been pretty solid, but I will say that the interface, ColorOS, is just such a brutally terrible OS. I may actually put it now kind of tied with in last place with FunTouch OS as the worst kind of software skins. Look at that. This something just showing up here, and I don't know. Like, there's no app tray in ColorOS, and the whole interface just feels very iOS-y, but not in a good way. And one thing I noticed here, look at that. When I actually open the settings, why does it do that? Look at this. So when I open the settings on the on MIUI 10 on the Redmi Note 7, all this kind of stays in this nice kind of blurred look. When you bring down Control Center on the Oppo K1, it should stop there, but instead it goes all the way down. And it's just really bad UI. I think the multitasking is not too bad, so like it will hold certain things in memory. There you see it didn't. But gosh, MIUI 10 is just so much more evolved a software skin that it just really changes the way you experience the phone. And just from having used this for a few days, I can say without a doubt that the software UI experience on the Redmi Note 7 is miles better. And just because of that, that may be the major deal breaker for using this phone long term, because the Redmi Note 7 with MIUI 10 is just a well-oiled machine. It's just hard to compete, really, other than with maybe stock Android being the only other version that is better. And if you've noticed here, I'm actually using the Poco launcher on this phone. I do like it because it does have all these different sections: entertainment, photography, communications. And the Poco launcher is very similar to the stock MIUI 10 launcher, but I just do like the fact that it gives you those little bit of tweaks there that really make for a more enjoyable experience. And so clearly, in terms of performance, I give this round to the Redmi Note 7. Alright, so we're going to play some quick PUBG here. And in terms of GPU, both are using the Adreno 512 GPU. And as you've seen in my previous videos, the Adreno 512 is no slouch. Clearly you can see here the Redmi Note 7 got into the game first. I pressed them both pretty similar timed. And so let's jump into a quick game here on the Redmi Note 7 and then really kind of compare it to the Oppo K1 and see which one comes out on top. Okay, so you can see here it's recommending medium specs for me here. Okay, so going for graphics here, we're going to choose HD, high and realistic on both phones, and we disabled auto adjust graphics. So let's see how quickly they take to go in. 3, 2, 1. Which phone starts the game sooner? And then we are matching here. Pretty similar there. Still loading. And that was pretty much equal right there. So let's run them towards the water for our classic Frankie Tech swim test. Looks pretty good on both. But you see here, the Redmi Note 7 is cutting off right at the notch, whereas on the Oppo K1, it is not. The classic Frankie Tech swim test. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. And there we go. Let's get this game going. And so it's amazing how much just cutting off a little bit of the screen there makes a difference. You see there's no stalling whatsoever, no hiccups or frame drops on the Redmi Note 7. And same with the Oppo K1. It's performing very nicely here. So let's go ahead and jump and get down there. So let's start by playing on the Redmi Note 7 first, and then we will play on the Oppo K1. Okay, we're coming in for the landing, and here we go. So let's play on the Redmi Note 7 first. Apologies for the glare there. I'll try to keep it angled the right way. Turn up the volume on the Redmi Note 7. Got some stuff. Now time to get some guns here. There we go. Gotta get some guns though. There we go. And the Redmi Note 7, like I said last time, doesn't get warm. And I think that glass back on this side is really doing a good job. So let's move around this way. And let's go back to the Oppo K1 now. And we're getting shot on the Oppo K1 already. Uh-oh. Let's raise the volume there. I'm getting shot at. Better go get some guns. And you can see here, this Oppo K1 display for gaming is really nice. And the phone is not getting warm at all, I feel so far. So let's get in here. I think we were just here with my other guy, so we may be in the same game actually. So there we go. And we're getting shot at here on the Redmi Note 7. Let's see if we can find the guy who's shooting me. And we might be in the same game here. Alright, found the dude. There you go. Take that. Alright. Let's open that package up. And Redmi Note 7 PUBG gaming is a pleasure. It is just, it does this game right. It's starting to get a little warm now, but really nothing doing here. It's still doing really well. Oh man, and I'm getting shot up here. But let's see if I can go and defend my guy with this other phone. I think that, yeah, that's right. I'm getting shot at. Let's see, are we in the same game? I think we might be. Oh, we are in the same game. Ah, okay, let's go find this guy and kill him. There he is. We found him on the Oppo K1.
Enemies ahead. I got supplies.
There we go. Lower the volume a little bit. Back to the Redmi Note 7. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, take that. 2 kills already. Oh, and now the Redmi Note 7 is getting warmer. Let's see if we can help him out on the Oppo K1. And I see the guy there on the Oppo K1. And I'm gonna die on the Oppo K1. I'm getting killed. Let's see if I can save myself. Oh yeah. Take that. So I'm saving myself on one phone and then fighting on the other. This is the most intense game of PUBG I think I've ever played in an actual video. Crap, and we have to go back now. So that is it, guys. PUBG gaming on the Oppo K1 and the Redmi Note 7. I give it to the Oppo K1 just by a hair because of the more immersive screen, and AMOLED just makes the game look great. But don't get me wrong, the Redmi Note 7 played this game beautifully. The only negative being that it got a little bit hotter than I expected on these settings, while the Oppo K1 is a little bit cooler to the touch. Anyway, that's it for the gaming review, and I think the Oppo K1 by a hair takes this round. And now the audio speaker test. I'm going to move the microphone down, and let's see which one sounds better. What can I say? My final verdict in this audio speaker test, the Oppo K1 definitely is the louder speaker here, and you could kind of hear it there. It was blasting there for a moment, especially at 100%. But as a result of that 100%, I think it got a little bit tinny and a little bit just distorted at the high end. Whereas the Redmi Note 7, even though it's a slightly lower volume speaker, is I think my favorite of the two. The sound just was crisper, clear, the mids just sounded better, and it just, if you're gonna blast the music, well, you may as well just blast with a Bluetooth speaker, And what you really want at this budget level is just a good sounding phone. And I think the Redmi Note 7 still takes that audio speaker round. So talking about camera and just a quick overview of the specs here on the Redmi Note 7, we have that 48 megapixel f1.8 aperture with a 5 megapixel f2.4 depth sensor, whereas on the Oppo K1 we have a 16 megapixel, you see it there, f1.8 and a 2 megapixel f2.4 depth sensor. And I think that major question that you are all wondering about is which phone takes the better shots. Well, stay tuned. I have some great shots coming up here. But just kind of quickly talking about the interfaces, I'm so used to the interface now of the Redmi Note 7. It's just kind of like coming home now. It really feels good. And showing you the video settings here real quick though, the one negative is that there's no 4K out of the box in the stock kind of camera app. Now I know with Open Camera, you can probably get up to 4K in that. But looking at just the stock, because we want to be fair here with people using it out of the box, and that's where the Oppo K1 does have the edge, because you see it has 1080p, but you can go up to 4K in the app. And I know what you guys are thinking, download Open Camera, come on, like just do it. This is a win for the Oppo K1. The fact that you can shoot 4K right out of the box. Now, is it any good? We'll have a look at these images and videos in a second. But let's bring in a subject matter. I've been wanting to do this for a while. And I'd like to introduce you, my friends, to my man. Say hello to Mr. Voltron. And this guy is so big that I don't even think he's going to fit in the actual frame here. Let me kind of clear things up a little bit and see if I can get at least the majority of him in the shot here. Now guys, this Voltron is just incredible. He's an incredible toy. And like you see there, I can barely fit him into the shot. But let's kind of turn him here. He's going to lie on his back here for this quick shot. I'm going to take a close-up shot of his face right there. In 3, 2, 1 on the Redmi Note 7. And now doing a quick shot on the Oppo K1. Now the Oppo K1 took a pretty good shot there, I think. But let's compare the two and see how they did. And just looking at it there, that Oppo K1 did a pretty nice job, but so did the Redmi Note 7. Look at the detail on this robot. It's pretty incredible. And I would say I do like the shot on the Oppo K1 probably a little bit better here. And obviously the AMOLED is definitely helping the reds pop on this viewfinder right here. But now let's have a look at these photo samples and video samples. Meanwhile, Mr. Voltron's going to get out of the way here because he's holding on to my phones. Take a rest, bro. Have a look at these samples and let me know what you think in the comments section. Rear-facing video on the Redmi Note 7 and the Oppo K1. Very nice day here in Hong Kong. It's almost a little too warm. Both look pretty good. I mean, you can't really shoot poorly in this kind of lighting. The lighting here is just incredible today. There you go. Not bad. Front-facing video on the Redmi Note 7 and the Oppo K1. Kind of just walked into shade. See how they do with exposure. Both are not doing pretty well with that. But let's turn around and see how it looks. There you go. Looks like the Oppo K1 is actually doing a better job with exposure now. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. Which phone did better? So that's it for this video and my final verdict on these two phones. Let's do it a little differently this time. Let's kind of go through the various sections and see which phone won which, but now share my final verdict. So in design, the Redmi Note 7 definitely had the edge, just with the kind of more sleek build and kind of heavier phone that just feels more premium in the hand. But in display, the Oppo K1 took it with that really budget AMOLED display. The cheapest phone with an AMOLED display, but with a pretty decent AMOLED display. My wife couldn't tell the difference between this display and the one on the OnePlus 6T. So that's a major plus going towards the Oppo K1. But in terms of performance, the Redmi Note 7 struck back, and with that slightly overclocked Snapdragon 660, took the performance round and also took the gaming in terms of performance, but I would still give the just more immersive experience to the Oppo K1 in gaming. In the audio speaker test, the Oppo K1 was a little bit louder, but the Redmi Note 7 I think had the clearer sound. And in camera, you saw the samples. Let me know what you think in the comments. I personally enjoyed the shots on the Redmi Note 7 better. There's more detail, and I just think it's a better balanced shot overall. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on which phone you think won that round. And the final verdict, here it is. If I had to pick one of these two phones to use, which one would it be? I gotta go with my Redmi Note 7. And it really comes down to just overall finish and fit and finish, from the OS level all the way to the design, all the way to the battery capacity. Now, I haven't tested the Oppo K1's battery enough to give a full verdict, but the Redmi Note 7's battery with a screen on time of around 9 to 10 hours has been doing great. This phone, literally, the standby has been spectacular, and I think just overall, if you look at battery, display, design, camera performance, audio performance, and just MIUI 10 being just so much more of a just well-rounded and slick operating system, the Redmi Note 7 takes it. But for any of you guys considering the Oppo K1, if you really value AMOLED on a phone and you want to have the cheapest phone with AMOLED and with the in-display fingerprint scanner, because let's face it, that is a cool feature, although the in-display fingerprint scanner does not function as quickly as I would like. And you'll see it here. It takes some time. You see that? Whereas on the Redmi Note 7, boom, we're in. If those are features that you value, then you have your answer right here. The Oppo K1 is the phone to get. It does have some very future-leaning features, but it just doesn't make up for the fact that ColorOS is a garbage OS. It is really probably the worst, if not second to FunTouch as the worst software experience. And as my saying goes, it's the hardware that makes you fall in love with a phone, but it's the software that keeps you in love with a phone. And this software is not going to keep me in love with this phone for very long. And so that's my verdict. But hit me up in the comments. Which phone do you think is the better choice here between these two? Love to hear your thoughts. And that's it for this video, guys. If you liked it, give me that thumbs up. And if you love the content of Frankie Tech, subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon for future updates. And I want to preview my next video for you guys, because I just got the package in the mail this morning. And I want you to guess, what is this? Well, I kind of gave it away already. Oh yeah. This is a Razer Quick Charge 4.0 charger. UK region. That's right, guys. It's time for a quick charge test. Coming up very soon. Anyways, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm going to go to this Indian wedding. I got to get dressed. It's going to be fun. But a happy Valentine's Day to all you guys. Hope you had a good one. And this is where I leave you by saying, this is Frankie Tech signing off. Y'all have a good one.